This is Sid Haas with LKCS. I am the Vice President of Business Development here, and I oversee quite a bit of our statement processing operations as part of my responsibilities. So we're going to talk about a little bit about the options that are available to you with your statements and some of the unique ways that that we can help you incorporate marketing directly into your statements as well. And as you know, we are very familiar with the Sharetec data systems, Sharetec processing platform, and have a working relationship that we'll talk about with the data systems of Texas as well as we proceed. So to give you a little bit of background on LKCS, the company has been serving credit unions since 1961, so for over 50 years. We provide a wide variety of services relating to marketing, member communication, website development. Certainly statement processing and e-statements are a huge piece of our business. But we provide additional services, and we really feel that we can be a valuable resource for your credit union in several areas, and obviously including the statements that we're going to be talking about. We currently process statements for over 50 Sharetec clients. So like I said, we're very familiar with the Sharetec data. We've done a lot of different things with Sharetec statements, a lot of customizations and custom implementations and things. So depending on your needs, we'd be happy to discuss things that we can help you with. And we have a very close working relationship with the data systems of Texas and other Sharetec partners as well. So when it comes to any technical issues, even things as simple as receiving statement data files and things like that, we can work directly with your partners to get that information. So we're going to be talking first about statement reformatting and our statement reformatting services, and how we can actually make the statements look better and be easier to read and understand for your members. So we're talking about things like changing the fonts, calling attention to the account headings, potentially adding graphics to the statement, lining up the data better, suppressing data that may be extraneous and not needed on the statements, and even merging, statement data from multiple files into one statement. Those are the types of things that we're talking about when we talk about statement reformatting. This is obviously the typical Sharetec statement. So this is what you're probably very used to seeing. This is the standard, software layout, from Sharetec. It's probably what your statements look like today. There's nothing wrong with it, except it's not particularly appealing. Obviously it was programmed by a programmer to meet a regulatory need to deliver a statement. This is an example, and I'll show you several of these, but this is an example of a reformatted Sharetec statement. And you can see off the bat that obviously we can change the font, get away from just the computer courier type font, and make it, much more appealing. In this case, like an Arial or a Helvetica type font. You'll see what I'm talking about as far as how we can, create and call out these account headings, so you can see the major different sections of the, of the statement for each account. And you'll see in this area in particular how we can, taking the Sharetec data, actually split credits and debits into separate columns if you would like. And you'll also see how we slide the transaction description to the far right of the statement. So when the member reconciles their account, their eye literally only has to track across half of the page to see the date of the transaction, the amount of the credit or debit on the account, and their running balance. Then if they need additional information, they can look a little bit further to the right to see that transaction description. These are just examples of how we can make the statement easier to read and understand. I'm going to show you additional options as well. This is another Sharetec statement. It's a slightly different format of the statement. In this case, the Sharetec client's using this particular format. Instead of showing debits and credits in two different columns, they've actually had us split deposits and credits from withdrawals and debits into completely separate sections on the statement. So there's no change in how the statement data comes to us from Sharetec, but what we're doing is identifying which transactions, are deposits or credits, and which transactions are withdrawals and debits, and we're splitting them into two completely separate areas. So some accounts members prefer their statement this way, especially I think a lot of business accounts is what we're hearing. But then we've also taken some of the description information and slid it up higher, moved it up higher on the statement than it was appearing, in other statement formats and in the standard Sharetec data. But again, just to give you some idea of the flexibility that you have. When we start up, statements for a new client, obviously we'll show you what options you have, get you, samples of numerous statements, and work with you to determine exactly what you want your statements to look like, and then we'll handle the programming and everything for you. One of the other options that you have with LKCS is the ability to present check images to members. And we can present check images on your paper statements, or we can present them just solely on your e-statements, and we'll discuss that as well. But that's a technique that some of our credit unions are using where, for members that want to receive check images, they're enrolling for e-statements, and then they're able to get their check images on e-statements. But again, for business accounts, one of the things that we've seen is a lot of businesses want to get their checks back. Obviously normal credit union members are used to not receiving their checks back, and it's typically not a big deal, especially if they can go online, through home banking and view those checks. But businesses like to receive their check images. So we do have solutions in place to merge those check images with your Sharetec statement data. So I'm going to switch gears for a little while and talk a little bit about Transpromo statement marketing and our ability to incorporate marketing directly into the statement. So now that we've reformatted your statement and made it easier to read and understand, now we're also going to add some marketing and advertising value to the statement. And the industry term is Transpromo Marketing. So Transpromo is just a compound word made up of the two words transaction and promotional, and the concept is to combine your transactional documents, such as your statements, with promotions and advertising, targeted to your members. So we're able to combine that by mining data out of the statements or using other control files and things to identify good prospects for your marketing and then add that directly to their statements. And by combining this type of marketing and advertising directly on your statements, you're taking advantage of the postage that you're already paying to deliver your statement, and you're just adding, some tremendous marketing and advertising value to that statement. So one of the ways that we do that is the ability to add what we call statement ads. We also call them onserts. So where you're used to probably including inserts within the statement envelope, a statement ad or an onsert is printed directly onto the statement. So even if a member were to throw away their envelope and the associated statement inserts, this type of advertising, these onserts, are printed directly on the statement, and members retain them just by retaining their statement. These are highly graphical. I'll show you several samples. And these ads can be sent to all of your members, or we can target different groups of your members to receive one or more of these messages. So we can do that by looking at what accounts members have, what accounts they don't have, what balances they carry. We could potentially look at their demographics. You could send us a list of account numbers, for example, of members that meet certain conditions, and we can target those account numbers for these types of ads. There's all sorts of options that you have, and we can, I'm going to show you several options as we move forward and several examples of how our clients are leveraging this capability. And this same technology enables you to display loan payment coupons, print rate grids, all sorts of different things directly on your statements. So keep in mind, as I show you some of these ads moving forward, you have the ability to design these ads yourself and send them to us. You can select concepts from our online catalog, or our designers can always custom design, these onserts for you specifically. So this is what I'm talking about. These are some, some examples of statement onserts. These can be any size, and they can be for any subject. So typically, most of our customers are printing like a small ad or onsert at the bottom of their first pages of their statement, similar to this home equity loan example. Obviously we can extend that for anything. So this is an example of a skip a payment request form. And these ads can be personalized. So in many cases, when we're printing this type of skip a pay form, we will actually pre-populate fields such as name and account number so that members don't even have to fill that in. Literally, they could, sign their name and possibly fill in the loan numbers that are eligible or that they want to take advantage of the offer for. Tear that coupon off and send it into the credit union or bring it into a branch. And since they can be any size, the example on the right, instead of being a smaller onsert at the bottom of the page, this onsert probably takes up about 2/3 of a page, but was obviously used to support a specific campaign, a large marketing campaign, and it's less expensive in most cases to print these onserts directly on the statement than to print a separate statement insert. And this is an example of a Sharetec statement with an ad down at the bottom. So again, you can see, this is that reformatted sample that I showed you earlier with the credits and the debits split into 2 columns. And this is essentially what the bottom of the first page of your statements could look like. These ads can be placed anywhere, so they can be placed at the end of the statement as well. But we typically, like I said, most credit unions are printing these on the first page of their statements to make sure that members, can see them very, very quickly. And again, these letters can be, or these statement ads or onserts can be any size. So we certainly provide the opportunity to include what we call a statement letter as the first page of your statements. In this case, you're truly transforming your statement into a direct mail campaign, because for the members that qualify for different offers, you can actually have the first page of their statement be a personalized direct mail offer, in this case another skip a pay, but these can be used to welcome new members. They can be used to introduce your investment relationships, for examples, for members with high deposit balances, all sorts of different things. Any time where you need to have more information than can fit on a smaller onsert, you can certainly take advantage of these types of statement cover letters on your statements. The rest of the statement will appear immediately behind this on subsequent pages, but the first page of the statement is used as a dedicated direct mail letter. One of the unique things with LKCS is that we also have relationships with all 3 of the credit bureaus. So we can actually screen your members and determine their current FICO score, all sorts of information about their credit history, what loans they have elsewhere, whether those are home loans or auto loans, and we can use that to qualify members for pre-screen or pre-approved loan campaigns. And then we can take that information and either send out a separate direct mail piece, or in this case actually combine that information with your statements, take that statement cover letter that I was just talking about and use it to extend a pre-screened or pre-approved loan offer. What you're seeing here on the left is an example for a home equity loan used for debt consolidation. So I'm sure it's probably too small to read, but this is talking about how the current economy is straining your budget and how the credit union can make it easy to pay off your credit card bills. What we're doing in that situation is we're looking for members that meet your FICO score criteria that maybe have, say, $50,000 in equity in their home, but they're also carrying maybe $10,000 in credit card debt. And all of those figures are variable. You can change those, but in this case, that's just an example. And on the right, we're actually extending what's just a more general home equity loan offer. So maybe this offer goes to members that have that same, $50,000 or more in equity, but maybe they're not carrying that high credit card debt. So those are just 2 examples. We can do the same thing on the auto side, the mortgage refinance side, whatever your loan needs are, we can discuss that and then discuss how we can combine these types of pre-screen loan campaigns directly with your statements. We also have the ability to do selective inserting. So, most of our credit unions are still including inserts with their statements, whether those are newsletters or, enterprise car sales type inserts, those types of things. We can certainly do that and insert, these inserts into all of your statements, but we can also selectively include inserts, again, based on what we know about your members. So to give you an idea, some of our clients have kids newsletters, so they may, have us identify, which accounts are kids accounts, and those, a few hundred or a few thousand accounts would get newsletters for, the youth for the kids club, and the rest of the statements would get the normal newsletter. But again, those inserts can be triggered by account relationships, by balances, by demographics, by where a member lives, any different condition that we can identify either in the statement data or in a separate data file that you can send us. So we're very, very flexible with both the ability to incorporate onserts and inserts with your statements. We're trying to make these statements into basically one-to-one marketing campaigns to make sure that the advertising offers that you're extending to your members are relevant to their personal financial situations and their lifestyles. And these are a couple of tools that we give you to do that. LKCS also provides the ability for you to print ads on either the front or back of your statement envelopes. In case you've never tried, here's a challenge for you. Try to open up an envelope without looking at the back of it. It's very, very difficult to do. And yet, most of the time, the back of that envelope is blank. Well, it's a tremendous place for you to include advertising. LKCS charges only $10.50 per 1,000 envelopes to print ads on the backs of your envelopes. We even come out with a selection of stock ad designs each quarter that you can choose from. So you can select one of those ads, or again, send us your own, or we can custom design one for you. By the way, many of our credit unions use the backs of their envelopes to promote e-statements. It's a tremendous place to do that. And again, it's very, very inexpensive. And since we're talking about e-statements, we clearly realize that e-statements are the future of the majority of your statements. But we also feel that including statement marketing is just as important on the e-statement as it is on the paper statement. So here's a view, again, of a reformatted Bradford Scott or Sharetec, e-statement, Data Systems of Texas statement. And you'll notice how the Onsert appears. When we're talking about e-statements, we actually have the ability to provide those Onserts in full color. So you can see how that jumps off of the page. And we actually have the ability to provide PDFs of all of your member statements or all of your e-statements back to the Data Systems of Texas to incorporate right into Sharetec Home Banking. So when members go into the Sharetec Home Banking platform and click to view their e-statement, they can be presented with a reformatted PDF as opposed to the traditional Sharetec looking statement. So all of these statement marketing options that you have, the ability to add these onserts and different things onto your paper statements can also be extended to your e-statements. So I want to give you a few statistics and a little bit of ammunition about why you should be doing these types of Transpromo marketing and adding these onserts and statement letters and things like that. Why should you bother? Obviously the first question I get from a lot of customers is, well, how many people actually read their statements? We don't think many people do. I'm going to show you several statistics. I don't necessarily believe all of them, but yet the numbers keep coming out the same way. This is a survey that was just done at the end of 2012 by a company called InfoTrends, which is InfoTrends is an industry trade organization. So obviously they have a reason for these numbers to be tilted this way. But they are showing that over 95% of statements and invoices are opened each month. Even if that figure is off by half, and it's only over 45%, for example, that still far exceeds many direct mail campaigns, probably most direct mail campaigns. So I think, and our customers can attest to the fact that these onserts are being seen by members, and I really feel that the percentage of your members viewing your statements is higher than you think. They may very well be pulling that statement out and throwing all the other materials away, but they're at least glancing at that statement, and I believe that they're certainly looking at those onserts as well. We know that Transpromo can save you money. Obviously, by combining a direct mail campaign with your statements, you're not going to have those postage costs of a separate direct mail campaign. And instead of printing separate inserts and including these onserts onto your statements, you can certainly reduce your overall printing costs as well. printing one piece, one statement, as opposed to a statement and a separate statement insert. We also can show that these onserts actually support the migration to e-statements. Our e-statements are identical to our paper statements, including all of those Transpromo items, so that you can utilize Transpromo to make sure that your members have at least an equivalent, if not a better experience with e-statements than they do with paper statements. And the fact that color doesn't cost more on e-statements is a huge benefit. Those statements are going to be even easier to read and understand, and those advertisements are really going to jump off the page when you can display those in color. Transpromo is green, and obviously a lot of our customers are promoting, the concept of being green and using that as a way to drive members to e-statements as well. But again, we're replacing inserts with onserts, so we're doing less printing, we're wasting less paper, and we're combining mailings into one. So you're going to save paper and envelopes and the expense of even transporting and delivering that mail by combining things into one envelope. And we know that it works, and that's probably the most important factor and reason to consider Transpromo Marketing. There was another recent survey by InfoPrint and Zoomerang that showed that 64% of the people they surveyed would use personalized coupons printed onto monthly bills and statements. Again, I don't see response rates that high, but we have seen response rates on inserts easily outperform the 1% response rates that you can expect from a direct mail campaign. And I would be happy to provide numerous references to you of credit unions that have had terrific success with these onserts. They will get read. Members will see them on the statements. They will pay attention to them. And again, the more relevant you can make those ads on your statements, the higher the response rate that you're going to receive. And apparently, there we go. Thought my slide stopped working. And we make it easy. We can help you identify which of your members, would qualify for different offers or would show a propensity for a specific, account type. Help you identify which members receive which ads. We can design those ads for you, if you need to. Obviously, we'll take care of, the programming and the variable data printing and making sure that those onserts are shown on your PDFs for your e-statements. We're going to print and mail your statements, and we're going to get those PDFs to the data systems of Texas to present them online, and you're going to get the credit. So really the concept of adding these ads or onserts is much easier than I've made it sound so far. It's extremely powerful, but we really walk you through the whole process and do the lion's share of the work for you. So I'm really going to show you some advanced techniques and then get into some other ways that you can use these types of onserts. So everything that I've talked about so far is what I call a one-time use ad. You have a marketing campaign, that you're launching this quarter. You're going to include a marketing ad or an onsert on your statements to support that campaign. But there are a lot of opportunities that you have where the same situation occurs maybe to different members each month, where you can take advantage of those situations, capitalize on them, and actually do some marketing automation. So we can set up these types of onsert campaigns. You can set it up and forget it. At least watch it for a few months before you fine-tune it potentially. But it really enables you to take advantage of special opportunities that you have. So some examples are your new members. We can use statement onserts to welcome new members to the credit union. For members that may have a CD coming due, we can trigger an onsert, even showing what the current CD rates are at the credit union if you want, but certainly to trigger an onsert on their statement, to remind them that the CD is coming due and they should talk to you. We can thank members for paying off a loan. We can look at members who have an auto loan maybe that they've had for 36 months, and before they even start talking to the dealer about trading that vehicle in, we can use an onsert to start having a conversation with that member about getting a new loan at the credit union, and not necessarily taking advantage of the dealer financing. Birthday messages. I mean, how do you want to show a member that you care? Well, if they get a statement, that's in the month of their birthday, send them a happy birthday message on the statement. So I'm actually going to show you an example of that. Loan payment coupons. So we can actually look on the statements for the different loans that members have and actually print a personalized loan payment coupon on the statement for each loan. So you don't necessarily have to send out separate payment books. Members don't have to worry about finding those payment books. They know that statement comes in the mail. They can tear that coupon off. It shows, what the amount is. It has all the information that you need to process that payment when that coupon comes in, and it's printed right on the statements. And obviously, so you can see the other examples, all your kids clubs and teens clubs and seniors clubs. If you do have, a merger or acquire a branch from another institution, we can have all sorts of cross-sell campaigns going, to onboard those new members and things. We're going to talk about that in more detail as well. So here are a couple of examples just to show you the possibilities. The top two were actually designed by one of our clients in the St. Louis area. So the top one is that happy birthday ad that I mentioned. I just really like the fact that they've embraced the power of these Onserts, and while they're not selling anything with that ad, it's definitely showing how much they care about their members. And the second Onsert, the one in the middle, is actually the one that they use to welcome new members to the credit union. This particular credit union is known for having fresh popcorn in their lobby, so they're going to build on that and just welcome new members to the credit union. Let them know about a few of the products and services available to them. Excuse me, and remind them about the popcorn. And then you'll see at the bottom an example of a loan payment coupon, where basically all we're doing is taking information that's elsewhere on the statement and repurposing it and printing it onto a loan payment coupon. Members love that convenience, by the way. And then I want to talk about some matrix-based statement campaigns. So I'm not sure if any of you have formal onboarding type programs for new members. One of the additional services that LKCS offers is a matrix mailing or a matrix campaign service where we will send out a series of direct mail pieces or emails to new members welcoming them to the credit union and and cross-selling other products and services. We can do it obviously for new members, but we can also do it in a lot of cases, for new mergers, new segs, different things like that. But we can also do these types of matrix campaigns as part of your statements. And I'm going to show you an example. This is actually North Star Credit Union, and I'm going to enlarge this for you. North Star Credit Union is up in the Chicago suburbs. And they have an onboarding campaign that they've been using for about 3 years, and they do it as part of their statements, and it's been tremendously successful. So let me explain what this campaign does. So a member joins the credit union, and the first decision that we have to make is whether that member is over age 16 or not. And if they're not, we're not going to send any advertisements to them, at all. So basically they drop out of this matrix. If they are over age 16, we're also going to look and see if they have a checking account. And if they don't, we're going to print an Onsert on their first statement about checking. And that could include a special offer. I mean, you can see to the right, some ideas of free checks or a premium checkbook cover, whatever it might be. So if you wanted to include a special offer with that Onsert, you certainly could. These campaigns, by the way, are custom designed for each of our customers. So this is not necessarily an actual campaign. It may not be appropriate for you, but we can fine tune and design one specifically for you if you're interested in doing this. If that member did have a checking account, or the second statement they received, they would receive an online services Onsert. So every member is going to get information about the online services at this credit union. It's just whether you receive this on your first statement or your second statement from the credit union. After those first two Onserts, we're then going to look for loans, and we're going to look specifically now if this member is over 21 and if they have a credit score over 700. And if they don't meet those conditions, they're not going to get any additional Onserts, other than your standard Onsert that supports your latest marketing campaign potentially on their statement. But if they do meet those conditions, we're going to look and see if they have an auto loan at the credit union. And if they don't, we're going to send them an Onsert about auto loans. If they do, we're going to look and see if they have a home equity loan. And if they don't, we're going to send them, a home equity loan Onsert. So you can see how over the first 4 or 5 months, this credit union has actually since modified this and added 2 additional Onserts to this campaign. But you can see over the first several months or several quarters that you have a member, that you have the ability to automate some of the cross-selling of services to them. Go back to the presentation. These are actually what North Star Credit Union's Onserts look like. What I really like about what they're doing is that they are including a special offer with each of these Onserts. So these black boxes that you see on each of the Onserts actually have the offer. So you'll see the one at the top, which is one of the Onserts that they've added since I updated that last slide, but they have a loyal member reward, and they're basically, because you have enough relationships or so many relationships with the credit union, they're going to give you a 0.5% off the loan rate. But they've got some where they get a free promotional item, a free small gift. They're giving bonuses on the loan rates. They're giving a free box of checks. Different things that really entice members to take advantage of these offers. We actually track the results of these campaigns for this credit union on a monthly basis. So we can actually show them how many accounts are opened by members that receive these Onserts, how many services were added. And while North Star doesn't let me actually share the exact results, I can tell you that the campaign easily pays for itself. I mean, these Onsert campaigns really are not tremendously expensive at all. It's just a cost for us to process the data essentially each month, and then just to print the Onserts, which is literally pennies. So it's just a way for you to formalize some of your onboarding efforts and really take your statements, I guess, to that next level to incorporate this type of personalized marketing directly onto the statements. And that's all I have for you. So that really just gives you, I guess, a little bit, a short picture, a short presentation into the capabilities that we bring to your statements.